Hey there, YouTube. woodlandDOX here. I am back with a deck profile that I'm genuinely happy to do. If you guys missed it, past couple videos on the channel have been deck profiles. In the gameplay, felt a little bit worn out, so I'm doing deck profiles when I feel inspired. Hopefully, I can come up with some more stuff to put on here. But today, I am going to be doing a deck profile that a lot of the community loves. I'm not saying mine in particular, although that was pretty well received on Twitter or X or whatever. But today we're going to talk about my Claudine deck. So everyone's going to come up with builds for Claudine. I saw this past weekend Fuzzy topped his local Fuzzy Paradox. If you don't know Fuzzy in the Vanguard community, go check him out. He's the chart guy, to put it simply. But Fuzzy topped the locals with it. I went 0-4 with it. But then the very next day, I went 2-1 in a different tournament. So I'll get to some results after we go through the deck. I have some proposed changes and all that good stuff, but let's not waste too much time. So let me preface this by saying I am not a Stoicheia mastermind. My only other Stoicheia deck is Roroa. I have the extra planet tokens, so that's kind of what made me want to do this. But we're going to start with the red line. Nice and easy. Look at that scoop. That was a clean scoop. If you ooh am I swoop, let me know. Or if you ooh woo with the swoop, either way. Anyway, we start with the most adorable starter in the entire card game. Really limit the arc starter, it just wins. But anyways, go second, draw a card. You know the drill. Speaking of the drill, it seems like this is the thing for most Stoicheia decks. Grade 1, we are going to do Vanguard chain. So you're going to see throughout the deck, about a quarter of it is order cards. It's a lot of one-offs. I know back in the day some people used to do Zorga with one-offs. I've never played Zorga myself, but I do know a lot of these cards overlap, as well as, the one-of order idea. So we have Rancor Chain, Soul Blast your starter, assuming you have an order in hand to be safe, which you should, given a quarter of the deck being orders. But you draw 2, discard an order, and you'll get power boost if you play an order. So if you go second and you go to attack, play an order if you have a grade 1, and then of course we go right into the Black Tier Husk Dragon to get that order back. Should it have been important, you need it back. With Claudine, you do want orders in the drop. We'll get to her in a second, but you want Claudine to have orders to bind, so maybe you leave it there, maybe you don't. Depends on if you can use it. If it's a grade 1 or 2, and you can use it, go ahead, get it back, use it. If not, leave it there. If it was, I do have 1 or 2 orders that are up, on the chopping block. We'll go over those when we get there, but, if it's one of those, it's a grade 3, and you're kind of like, I don't really need it, go ahead, toss it, what's going to hurt? It's only going to help our lovely Claudine. So Claudine is going to finish out the ride line. So you have adorable sea creature, death, flowers. So Claudine is there. So Claudine has 3 effects. So first, Claudine, she can retire 3 rear guards to give herself +1 drive, not triple drive, +1 drive, gets around Sanctitude, and gives all plant tokens another 5k. Second ability is bind an order from the drop to gain 2 plant tokens, aka the plant tokens that you probably needed to get the first effect. And her third effect is on attack, Soul Blast 1, restain a plant token, and it gets 5k for every 2 unique orders in the drop and bind. So same prison scaling effect, prison power scaling with Pure Light. So you're gonna notice not a lot of my orders repeat, but it has to be unique orders. So we try to get them in the drop, which you'll see a little bit later, where one of my rear guards was going with that. I'll get into more detail later, but it hasn't really worked out, so we're going to change some things. But that is the ride line for the Claudine deck. Surprise, Claudine is the Vanguard. Next up, we are going to feature the most fun guy in the deck. Let me know if you caught that one. Burrow Mushrooms. By now, everyone who's even heard the word Stoicheia has heard what Burrow Mushrooms does. Put itself to soul, create 2 plant tokens. It's just beautiful. It does have the additional Grand Fee effect, but, this thing is just a machine. It is a plant-generating machine. Nothing much more to say about Burrow Mushrooms, but Burrow Mushrooms does make sure you have the soul for Claudine's effect. Creates plant tokens for you to either eat, or after you've gotten rid of your plant tokens, for Claudine's effect, this will create them if you already used her bind effect. So this is just a good token generator and soul generator. We'll see later some of the orders play around with soul blasting and calling from drop, or other anything plays with calling from drop. So burrow mushrooms is not bad to have the soul blast and then call it back from drop and then put it back to soul and get two more. It's just like it's a miracle grow in a card. The other grade one that I do run, I just run two. Salvias. So Salvia does create a plant token if you are grade 3 or greater. So she's kind of an okay discard target. If you have nothing else, if you don't have orders for your ride line discards, she's okay. She does create one plant token, but again, if we are in a retire meta still to an extent, I'd say fairly well into a retire meta. If your opponent's just abolishing your rear guards, I mean, Vermilion attacking the whole front row, getting that grade 2 obscured effect, but for Dragon Empire, you got Vermilion attacking the whole front row. Your plant tokens might not survive the turn, so if you survive with one plant token in the back, call Salvia, token, Claudine's effect, takes care of him. Claudine's effect brings 2 plant tokens back. So I'm enjoying her for that fact that she's a 2-for-1 deal. In Roroa it helps because obviously Momo is going to eat 3 rear guards as well. But I have her at 2. She may go up to 3. She may stay at 2. We'll see where the deck goes from there. Then, after that, for unit cards, there's only 2 unit cards. So we, of course, have our other 3 foil copies because my store finally has promos. We have our other 3 foil copies of Claudine. We know her effect. She's there. Personified, beautiful. I have found myself stuck once when I had an abundance of them in my hand. I had 2 after my mulligan in my hand. Discard hurts because you lose Persona. But you can get order cards. You can get units back on the field with some of the order cards. Can't Persona ride with them, but there is 13k to the front row. I mean, boosted by plant token 18 23. But so obviously she's there for Persona riding. And then the other grade 3 that's in the deck, I am thinking about cutting completely because she has proved to hurt me more than she's proved to help me. And that is our Tearful Flower Maiden Florence. So we have 4 Florences here. So Florence has a couple skills. And I learned the difference between continuous and auto skills. Apparently, this first skill only pops once. I thought it was every single time. I was wrong. First time for everything, right? But so Claudine, if your opponent checks a trigger on drive or damage, she gains 10k shield and 10k strength. So it only offsets 1 damage trigger check. Her second effect, it has 2 parts to it. When she attacks, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. If they are non-normal units, you get 15. That has to be both of them. If one of them is a normal unit, she only gets 5. Soul charge 1. And her second effect is remove the over trigger from drop to bring a unit back to your hand. I don't have many other unit cards, so that hasn't really come in handy. Guarding with over triggers, usually the only way it gets to drop, unless it discards off of her effect. So basically her effect was to accelerate getting orders to the drop because you can only do 1 per turn. And then soul charge, to help replenish Claudine, but mushrooms seems to do that enough. I've never really gone down to less than, well, aside from Soul Blasting my starter for Rancor Chain, I've never really gone down past 2 left in Soul. And there was always some way to get it back, whether it was a Persona ride or whether it was mushrooms. So, she's felt kind of bad, honestly. One of the games I'll go over later, she is what put me in danger of deck out. I couldn't attack with her, and I couldn't attack with my Vanguard. So it's like, okay, well, what do you do, right? You can't attack with either unit. I mean, I can just attack with the plant token, and then I can't attack with the Vanguard to get a second plant token swing because I'll deck out. So, Florence is going to go. But my intended replacement for Florence is Terror Knight Fleisch, or Tier Knight, Tier, whatever. So Fleisch gets an additional 5k for every token unit on the field when she attacks. So she has her 10k base. There's at least going to be 2 plant tokens on the field, so she's going to become 20. If there's a 3rd plant token, heck, even a 4th by some miracle. If my field's pretty intact, if there's a 4th, Fleisch will gain 20k. I was thinking of some other cards, corrosive something, corrosive neurotoxin, I believe. And there was another card that They both dealt with getting the order cards one bound and order card to gain 5k for each of its grades, and the other one gained 5k for each previously bound order card. So, to me, it had to be super late game for those to be more than 15, and more often than not, I'm going to have 3 plant tokens out there unless I'm desperate. So, Florence was here in the beginning. She's going to be probably she's definitely at least being whittled down for some room for Fleisch, but if not, maybe entirely taken out. The 10k shield's cool, but I don't know. The deck does have a shield issue, but we've got other ways of dealing with that. So that is it for the unit cards. I just had to double check. Her skill is also on guard circle. But so for the order cards, I know Vanguard. I currently only run one of the new Blossoming Flower Buds, solely because I wanted to test it to see what it did. I know it's insane for RPD, because RPD, I believe, gets extra 10k from this as well. But having a 2 20k plant tokens, so the additional 5 from Claudine and the additional 10 from this, having a 40k rearguard column to start if I, for some reason, need to swing boosted first. I don't know why I would. But then having it restand and gain the power for any extra orders, that is fantastic. That's great. And also, if I have more than just the 2 plant tokens in that column, they gain the power as well, so I could have a 20k booster on the Vanguard. This is an amazing card. I wanted to see how the ratio of orders came to be, because we need unique orders for the power gain. So I didn't want to run more than one at once, solely because, or for the first try, I should say, solely because of that. So I do have one other order in here that I have multiples of. I'll explain why. But right now it's only at 1, likely to go up to 2. Just because I could see myself needing it to push. A lot of the lists that I have seen do it at 4. I think solely for the unique order clause, 4 is too much, in my opinion, but others have found success. Now we're going to go into the grade 1 orders. So first off, we have In the Dim Darkness, the Frozen Resentment. This is a lovely way to get orders to your drop for the cost of a Soul Blast. This deck did not use Counterblast, you'll see that. But everything's Soul Blast, I think. Might be a little bit of Counterblast in here. But it's not. You don't worry about resources in this deck, you're totally fine. Good way to discard order cards. If not, it is also a good way to recover. So, again, mushrooms. Now comes a lovely card that I wish I could run more than one of, but I can't get myself to. In search of an ideal far away, choose one of your units, and it gets every time someone else attacks 5k. So that is where Fleisch or Florence or Corrosive Neurotoxin or the other guy's name was something like Black. It was close to Black Tear Husk Dragon, but it's not. So essentially, plant token attacks, it gains 5k. Claudine attacks, it gains 5k. Plant token attacks again, it gains 5k. So that's going to put Fleisch up to 35. If I go Fleisch, it would put Florence up to 28, minimum of 33, if her effect has minimal payoff. So creates a really big final attack, so that way if any triggers were checked, it helps. That's why I wanted Florence at 4 to start with, again, is for trigger check. Hit this, she would scale. But since it's only once per turn, that she can do that, even hitting, if they hit 2 damage triggers, it's not going to be strong enough. I'd rather have Fleisch there to get up to 35. Maybe 40 if there's 3 plant tokens. Next up, we have Spiritual Body Condensation, which is, I think, the most common order I've seen in any Stoichea deck. Soul Blast, choose a card grade equal or less than your Vanguard in your drop. Call it 5k. So again, while we have limited unit cards in this deck, and so many orders, if this gets mushrooms, you can, obviously wasting the 5k on mushrooms is but you'd use to create 2 plant tokens. That's 2 units with an extra 5k instead of just 1. So I do like running this to grab mushrooms back. Everything is designed to get the mushrooms back. I'm just realizing this. That's okay, because mushrooms are OP. One of our only Counterblast cards is Sweets That Become an Evil Dream. Counterblast, draw a card, look at the top card, discard it, or put it back on top. Easy way to get rid of order cards to create our power boost on our token upon the restand. Or if I'm just out of order cards, obviously this would go to drop. but that would give me a second order card to mine for Claudine if I'm in a tough spot. So we have that. Now we're going to be a little bit into different mindset here for the next couple of orders. So the next couple of orders are to do what I have diagnosed is the biggest problem with this deck, and that is shield value. It doesn't put you away fast enough. If you have multiple of the Blossoming Buds orders, you can accelerate, but you cannot just kill. There's no kill turn. It's just big numbers, 4 swings. So the issue being shield, I need to protect myself to let the game go a little longer. The next few cards are blitz orders designed to help with that. So we have Soul Blast 1 for Fine Drink of the Abolishment of Sins. God, these names are poetic. But anyways, it's draw a card. Plus hand, that's always great. Because you play the blitz order first, draw a card, and it's, trigger. That's extra 15k shield in your hand right there. Choose one of your units, gets 5k until end of the battle for each order with a different card name and drop and bind total. Same thing as Claudine, except defense. So it synergizes really, really well with the whole gimmick of the deck. Or I don't want to say gimmick, but one of our other cards that does use Counterblast. I don't even think I have 6 Counterblasts in the deck. Well, so 5, because 6 you'd be dead. So you can green on. But one of the very few Counterblasts in the deck is Sealed Path. Choose one of your opponent's Vanguards and gets -1 crit. So, if it's someone swinging for 2 crit to start, it'll drop down to 1. If it's someone just swinging with 1 crit, it goes down to 0. I mean, that's an easy, cheap way out of saying, all right, well, you gotta hit a crit trigger to do any damage in the first place. I like it. Speaking of what I like bees. Just kidding, I hate them. But this card is not real bees, so it's okay. So we have Sweet Honey Garden. It is essentially from set 11. All of the blitz orders we got that gain shield. So not quite cycle cards, I guess. But anyways, 15k shield for a Soul Blast. And then if there's another blitz order in the drop, it becomes 25 instead of 15. So the best way to put this is between these two, not sweets, Fine Drink and Sealed Path, there's gonna be a blitz order in the drop. So this is a free 25k shield. I think it's great to have. This is the only one that I run 2 of at the moment. I could see myself going down to 1 of these for another Flowering Buds. I would probably cut something else before these, just because this is the problem with shield value. That's it for the blitz orders. Back to normal orders, we have Gather Upon You Wandering Souls, a deck that already has +1 drive to get to 3, and wants orders in the drop. What's better than discarding another order and getting a 4th drive check? Or in the very rare instance that you don't get her 3rd drive check, this gets you your 3rd drive check. I mean, quad drive check, and between this and what you discard, that's 2 orders. So that's quad drive check and a guaranteed extra 5k to your plant token. See where we're going with this? We're going for big numbers, swing hard. Next up is definitely on the chopping block. Likely for Gradius Gradale. I didn't want to dish out $18 for a card that I didn't know would be a functional deck. It turns out it is a functional deck, so I will grab a Gradius. Definitely to replace this, but Nectar Sensationalism, should the game last that long, should I have this that late in the game, we go ahead and we get ourselves our extra power and our crit, 5k for every 5 cards in drop. So, with, well, actually, Ken doesn't exactly synergize with binding the orders. That doesn't take away too many, but it's designed to be late game, kind of a cheeky play. This will definitely go for Gradius Gradale, should I buy one. If not, it will definitely go for Flowering Buds. And then we only have 2 grade 3 orders, solely because, we need the orders to be used or in the drop fast. So I don't want to have too many of these. Again, Whales Melting in the Sound of Rain. That is designed to get our mushrooms back. Grade 1's probably going to be in your opponent's field. So you play this, retire grade 1, get your grade 1 back. It's also another reason why I want to move to Fleisch or one of the other options, because grade 2 rearguards are obviously common, for intercept and for, their actual purpose. But, being able to retire it and then call Fleisch out, that would be great. And lastly, for the orders, we have Prolific Oranges, because it's adorable, and it creates plant tokens for a counterblast. I think I just counted 3 total counterblasts in the whole deck. So you don't have to worry about damage denying yourself on accident or your opponent damage denying you because you don't use it. The only thing you really have to worry about is stuff stealing your soul. So what? Prison. So the long as you're not facing prison, your soul's safe. Lastly, we'll go over the trigger lineup super quickly. We have our we have the 4 perfect guards. Obviously you throw in Sanctitude if you're taking this to an event. If you're just playing this for fun with friends, 4 perfect guards that are the 2 or less variety. 2 card or less variety is fine. In terms of triggers, we have 4 Hooters, 3 whatever that is, and 1 Sunshine Maiden, or what's her name? Aspiring Maiden. I thought she was Sunflowers say Sunshine to me. She's there for Emergency Soul. Kind of like when I was playing Eva at BCS, I had the branch trigger that does the same thing. In there for Emergency Soul. I never needed it. But she is there for Emergency Soul, just in case. So we have 8 critical triggers. We have 4 Kiwis. Again, depending on your meta, you want to adjust your heal triggers. I kind of feel bad if I go to locals or just any tournament really, and they're not tryharding, and then I have the 10k heal triggers, because it's not as easy of a guard, right? So I do sometimes just default to 4 vanilla triggers because my opponents are unpredictable. And then lastly, we have 3 of the effect fronts. Like I said, deck has shield issue. Front trigger's dope because you're typically going plant, Claudine, plant, other rearguard. So with your plant and other rearguard still swinging after Claudine, fronts make sense. And then Oberia, again, I didn't want to dish out money for the Blessed Favor until I knew this deck was going to work. So Blessed Favor and Gratias Gradale are honestly the 2 most expensive cards in the deck. And they're not even for this deck. But this also isn't bad either to play Oberia. Simply because, again, you have 2 attacks left after your Vanguard attack. So if they let your Vanguard attack through, 100 million plant, 100 million other person. Or, if you, for some reason, don't meet your plant condition, 100 million Vanguard, 100 million other rearguard. It works. But that is it for the deck itself. Like I said, shield issue is a thing. I do find some problems with that. But we have lovely Claudine here. So I took Claudine to locals, which was 4 rounds, and I did a Discord tournament on Sunday, which was 3 rounds. Saturday, first round, Youthberg trampled. It just, again, I have shield issue, and Youthberg has a lot of attacks. Second game, I dared him to pass me consecutive turns with a 2 crit buff Sargra. Wouldn't you know it, he checked crit, and the turn after crit. So it was just a lost cause there. So I would have, had he not crit both times, I definitely would have lasted longer. And I had a fair chance because for the foreseeable future, I had my setup each single turn. Game after that, he 6 heal OT'd on the first attack of the turn. So that obviously stalled me out. Then I couldn't fight back because I was rushing pretty hard there. And I had the flowering buds on turn 3. So I had, my big numbers on turn 3. I had triple drive. It was just beautiful. And that turn, Florence also had Florence attacked. Florence would have gotten the extra 15k, so it would have been even bigger. Round 4 was against Vietnamese Bruce, Vietnamese Bruce. And my opponent is who I consider to be the smartest person at our locals. He used hand knowledge to basically just tell me no. He knew what I had in my hand. He knew how Bruce works, and he just took full advantage of it and Eden me immediately for the 2 crit swing, and I didn't have enough to block it. Again, shield issue in the deck. So that day was also played without the Honey Blitz order. I didn't even think about it until I got home that night. And then yesterday, when I played in a Discord tournament, I went 2-1, which was much improved. I beat Gandiva. A little bit of trigger stacking on my side, but I would have had it. I don't know if he just didn't have what he needed. I mean, I studied Gandiva excessively for BCS, so maybe it was just my brain went back to BCS mode and said, nope, I'm winning. Round 2 was Hazaret. I, again, got a little lucky with triggers, but I had my full setup. Everything was running nice and efficiently. And then the third round, I lost because they 6 heal. And then the next turn they came back and killed me. So this deck is not meant to play the long game the way I have it built. I'm not sure. Other people seem to be more of a blitz, kind of thing. But anyways, that's it. So I hope you guys found this entertaining, enjoyable. A little bit of minimal editing on this one, hopefully. Just because I want it to be more informative. Say I want to be entertaining, funny. But that's where the dad jokes come in, and I don't have to edit them in because I'm just naturally quirky. At least that's what the doctors tell me. Hey, we'll see you guys sometime soon in the future. Not in the past. That's not how time works. And I am going to stop talking now.